Neighbors get an eyeful when Nudist steps outside. Dear Abby, we have a male neighbor I'll call Flash, who frequently walks out to get his newspaper, or the mail, or to retrieve something from his car while he's as naked as the day he was born. He's in his late 50s and divorced. Some of the women in the neighborhood know not to look towards Flash's home if they're out for a walk. They have discovered that he is most likely in the buff, standing at his glass door or sitting at his front office computer with the door open. Flash is otherwise a likable and helpful neighbor. We hesitate to say anything. We do not want to say anything that might destroy that relationship. It's not against the law to be a nudist or for a woman to go topless in public in this city. However, to see a fella streak to his car is a little surprising and unsettling, even for another adult. In the normal course of things, he may be spotted in the nude once a week. I can only assume this goes on daily, but thankfully, our paths don't cross more than once a week. Is this something we should be concerned about? Startled in Austin, Texas. Hello, welcome to the vocabulary audio for the Nudist lesson. Let's get started with the vocabulary. Neighbors get an eyeful when Nudist steps outside. Let's talk about an eyeful. To get an eyeful means to see a lot, right? I mean, it fills your eyes. You say, wow, that was an eyeful, or I got an eyeful. It means you saw a lot of something. In this case, a lot of somebody's body. And then it talks about when the nudist steps outside. Nude, N-U-D-E, means without clothes, right? No clothes, naked. Nude and naked are similar. But a nudist is a person who does not wear clothes. And we can also use it as an adjective. For example, a nudist beach is a beach for people who don't wear clothes. You go to the nudist beach and nobody's wearing clothes. Sometimes we'll also say a nude beach. So a nudist is a person who does not wear clothes. All right. And then she says in the letter, Dear Abby, we have a male neighbor I call Flash. Flash is slang for somebody who is nude, who does not wear clothes, that runs around very fast. They run around without clothes. So this is their funny nickname for their neighbor, the guy who lives near them. And he often walks outside to get his newspaper, or go to get the mail, or retrieve something from his car. To retrieve means to get something and bring it back. So if he retrieves something from his car, it means he goes to his car, he gets something from the car, and he brings it back inside the house. Sometimes we talk about dogs. Dogs will retrieve, right? You throw a stick, the dog runs, gets the stick, and brings the stick back to you. That's retrieve or retrieving, to retrieve. Okay, so this guy retrieves something from his car, and he's naked. He's naked when he does this. He's nude or naked. Nude and naked have the same meaning. They mean no clothes. So this guy's naked. He goes to his car, he goes to the mailbox, but he's naked, he's nude, no clothes. Okay, and she says that, many people in the neighborhood, especially women, they don't like to look at his house because they're afraid, right? They're afraid that if they look, they will see him in the buff. In the buff. In the buff is slang. It means naked. It's another way to say naked or nude, no clothes. In the buff. He is in the buff means he is naked, he has no clothes. In the buff, in the buff. Okay, so this guy's always in the buff. He doesn't have clothes on, right? And he'll be in the buff standing at his door or standing in front of his window or walking outside in front of his house. And she says Flash, her nickname, this guy, Flash, he's basically likable. He's a nice guy. Likable means easy to like, friendly. And he's generally a helpful guy. And she says, we hesitate to say anything. to hesitate. To hesitate means to wait to do something. It means you want to do something. You are planning to do something, but you wait first. You're not sure, so you wait. So they want to say something to this man. They want to say something to Flash, but then they stop. Oh, maybe we shouldn't, right? They think and, oh, I don't know, maybe should we say something? Should we not? They hesitate. They wait to say something. She says they don't want to destroy their friendship, their relationship with him. So that's why they hesitate. That's why they're waiting. That's why they don't take action. Okay, she said in her city, she's from Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is a liberal city, a college city, and the capital of Texas. It's probably the only liberal city in Texas. But anyway, she said in their city, in Austin, it's not against the law to be a nudist. So if you are someone who likes to be naked, in Austin, it's okay. The police will not grab you. You can walk around your house. You can walk around your yard outside your house, nude, naked, in the buff. Okay. And also women can go topless in public in Austin. A woman can take off her shirt and walk around Austin, Texas, no problem. So, they can't call the police. It's not a possibility. The police won't do anything. She says, however, to see a fella streak to his car is surprising and unsettling. All right, fella means guy, right? G-U-I or man. A fella. It's kind of an old word, really. For not many people say fella anymore. You might have heard the movie Goodfellas, right? It means good guys or good men. So fella means man or guy, fella. But it's an old word, maybe a 1950s word. Okay, and then the verb to streak. She says to see a fella streak to his car. To streak means to run naked, to run nude, to run naked. So you have no clothes and then you run across the street or you run somewhere. So you're running and you're in the buff. You're running and you're naked. That's called streaking or to streak. The verb is to streak. And she says this is unsettling. Unsettling. Unsettling means something that upsets you, something that makes you maybe angry or maybe sad or maybe shocked and surprised. The emotion is called unsettled, ED, right? You say, I feel unsettled. It means you feel a little strange, you feel a little nervous maybe, you feel a little bit wrong, a little upset. It's not a strong word. If you say, I feel unsettled, it's not strong. It's weaker than upset. Upset is strong. I'm upset means you feel strong emotion. If you say, I feel unsettled, it means you feel a little wrong, but it's not too strong. It's not very strong. Okay. And then she says, in the normal course of things, that's a common phrase. It means in normal life, in normal daily life, in the normal course of things. He, Flash, this neighbor, he may be spotted in the nude once a week. To be spotted means to be seen, right? To spot, the verb to spot means to see something. Usually it means to see something that is hard to find, right? It means you're looking and finally, I see it. I spot it, right? So we use spot when something is difficult to find or maybe you don't want to see it. In this case, you don't want to see it. So she says she spots him in the nude once a week. She sees him in the nude or in the buff once a week. She says, I'm sure this happens more, but luckily, thankfully, our paths don't cross more than once a week. Okay, if you say our paths don't cross, it means we don't meet each other. The phrase to cross paths, a path is like a road, right? It's a road for walking. So if you say to cross paths means to meet another person, right? You're walking on a little road, they're walking on a little road, and your roads cross each other, so you meet each other. So it's kind of an idiom. To cross paths means to meet somebody. Usually it's to meet somebody suddenly. It's similar to bump into, right? I bumped into her yesterday. It means you met somebody yesterday. You were not planning to meet them, but by accident. Oh, you met them. Hi, how are you? Oh, hi, how are you? It's the same. You could say, we crossed paths yesterday, right? We crossed paths yesterday. We met each other yesterday. Okay, she says this happens once a week. She crossed paths with the naked guy once a week. She sees him once a week. And then finally, she asks Abby, is this something we should be worried about, concerned about? To be concerned means to be worried. Concerned means worried. And then finally, she signs her name. She signs it Startled in Austin, Texas. Startled means surprised or shocked. Sometimes both ideas, surprised and shocked. Startled. So if I shout suddenly, right? I startled you. I can use it as a verb. I startled you. I startle you. It means I surprise you. It can also be an emotion. You can say, I was startled, right? Or he made me feel startled. So it can be a feeling. So you say startled, an emotion, an adjective. Or it can be a verb. He startled me. He surprised me. All right, that is all for the vocabulary for the Nudist lesson. Go on now to the mini story. See you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome to the mini story lesson for Nudist. Let's get started. Sarah longs for a fella named Bobby. She loves him deeply. But Bobby lives in Norway, and Sarah lives in San Francisco. Every day, Sarah thinks about Bobby and feels unsettled. Finally, she decides she must see him to be happy. She flies to Norway to retrieve him and bring him back to San Francisco. She spots him at a beach. She wants to run to him, but she hesitates because he's in the buff. She's shocked and startled because he's with a beautiful, busty woman who is also in the buff. Sarah starts to cry. Then she runs away. She returns to San Francisco. Sarah and Bobby never cross paths again. All right, let's go up to the top with questions. Sarah longs for a fella named Bobby. Sarah longs for Bobby. Does she want him very, very much? Yes, that's right. She longs for him. She wants him very, very much. She thinks about him all the time. She longs for him. Does Sarah long for David? Does she want David a lot? No. She doesn't long for David. She longs for Bobby. She really wants Bobby. She really, really needs and wants Bobby. She longs for Bobby. Sarah longs for a fella named Bobby. Does she long for a man named Bobby? Yes, exactly right. She wants a man named Bobby. Does she want a guy named Bobby? Yes, that's right. She wants a fella named Bobby. She wants a fella named Bobby. Does she long for a fella named Jim? No, she doesn't want a guy named Jim. Does she want a fella named AJ? No. She doesn't want a fella named AJ. She wants a fella named Bobby. Why does she want a fella named Bobby? Well, she wants a guy named Bobby, because she loves him deeply, very much. But there's a problem. Bobby lives in Norway, and Sarah lives in San Francisco. However, every day, Sarah thinks about Bobby, and she feels unsettled. Does she feel very, very, very upset? Well, actually, no. Unsettled does not mean very, very upset. It means just a little upset. She feels a little strange, a little upset, a little nervous and sad, maybe. So she feels unsettled. She feels a little wrong, but not a lot. Still, every day she feels unsettled. Does she feel unsettled only on Monday? No. She doesn't feel a little bad on Monday only. She feels unsettled every day. She feels a little bit strange, a little bad every day. Why does she feel unsettled? Well, she feels unsettled, she feels a little bad, because she misses Bobby. She's thinking about Bobby. She loves Bobby. But Bobby is in in Norway, and she is in San Francisco, right? They live apart. They live far away. That's why she feels unsettled. Does she feel unsettled because she ate something bad? No, she didn't eat anything bad. Her stomach's okay. She feels unsettled because she misses Bobby. She's sad about Bobby. Well, she feels unsettled every day she feels unsettled. Finally, she decides she must see him. She must see Bobby to be happy. So, she flies to Norway to retrieve him. Does she plan to stay in Norway? No, she wants to retrieve him. She wants to get Bobby and bring him back to San Francisco. Right? She doesn't want to stay in Norway. She wants to retrieve him, get him, and bring him back to San Francisco. Does she want to retrieve her brother? No. She's not trying to get her brother and bring him back to San Francisco. She wants to retrieve Bobby, right? Why does she want to retrieve Bobby? Well, she wants to retrieve him because she loves him and misses him. She wants him to come back to San Francisco. So she wants to retrieve Bobby. When she flies to Norway, who does she want to retrieve? Well, she flies to Norway to retrieve Bobby. Okay, very good. She flies to Norway to retrieve Bobby and bring him back to San Francisco. She looks for him everywhere, in the cities, everywhere. But finally, she spots him at a beach. Does she see him at a beach? Yes, that's exactly right. She spots him at a beach. She sees him at a beach. Maybe the beach has many people. She's looking. Finally she spots him. Does she spot him in the city? No. She does not see him. She does not spot him in the city. Does she spot him in a car? No, she does not spot him in a car. Where does she spot him? Well, she spots him at a beach. When she spots him, is he alone? No. She spots him with another woman, right? Who does she spot at the beach? Well, she spots Bobby at the beach, right? And when she spots him, when she sees him, she wants to run to him, but she hesitates. Why does she hesitate? She hesitates because he's in the buff. He's naked. He has no clothes. Does she wait? Does she stop? Or does she run to him immediately? Well, she hesitates. She waits, right? She wants to run to him. She starts to go, but then she stops. She waits. She hesitates. She hesitates to run. Why does she hesitate to run to Bobby? Well, she hesitates because he's in the buff. He's naked. Is he wearing clothes? No. He's in the buff. No clothes. Is Bobby wearing a swimsuit? No, Bobby is not wearing a swimsuit. He is in the buff. He's in the buff. He is naked. He has no clothes. Does Sarah see other people in the buff? Yes, she does. She sees another person. She sees a beautiful, busty woman who is also in the buff. Does this woman have large breasts? Yes, she does. In fact, she's busty woman. She's a busty woman. Does the woman have a flat chest? A flat chest, very small breasts. No. She's a busty woman. She has large breasts. She's a very busty woman. Does Sarah hesitate because she sees Bobby naked with a busty woman? Yeah, that's right. That's exactly why she waits. That's exactly why she hesitates. She hesitates because she sees him in the buff, and he is with a busty woman who is also in the buff, who also has no clothes. That's why she hesitates and waits. After she hesitates, what does Sarah do? Well, after she hesitates, she sees him, and then she starts to cry. Oh, no! Sarah starts to cry. Then she runs away. She does not run to Bobby. She runs away. She returns to San Francisco alone. Sarah and Bobby never cross paths again. In the future, do Sarah and Bobby meet again? No, they never meet again. They never cross paths again. Do they see each other again sometime in the future? No. They never cross paths again. They never meet again. They never see each other again. Does Sarah cross paths with Bobby again? No! She never crosses paths with Bobby again. Sarah never crosses paths with Bobby again. Does Sarah cross paths with the naked woman again? Does she cross paths with the naked woman, the busty woman again? Well, maybe, but no, actually no, she doesn't. She never sees the busty naked woman, the busty woman in the buff, never sees her again either. She never crosses paths with Bobby or with the naked woman. Does Sarah cross paths with her mother in the future? Well, yes, probably, of course. She meets her mother a lot. She crosses paths with her mother many times. So they always cross paths, no problem. But she never crosses paths with Bobby again. Sarah and Bobby never cross paths again. They never meet again. All right, let's go back to the beginning. This time, I'll pause after the key words, the key phrases. Please repeat the phrase after me. Don't only repeat, please copy my pronunciation. Listen for my intonation. When do I go up? And when do I stretch? And when do I drop? Listen for that and copy it. Here we go. Sarah longs for a fella named Bobby. Sarah longs for a fella named Bobby. Good. She loves him deeply. But Bobby lives in Norway and Sarah lives in San Francisco. Every day, Sarah thinks about Bobby and feels unsettled. Every day, Sarah thinks about Bobby and feels unsettled. Finally, she decides she must see him to be happy. She flies to Norway to retrieve him. She flies to Norway to retrieve him. Good. She flies to Norway to retrieve him and bring him back to San Francisco. She spots him at a beach. Good. She spots him at a beach. Good. Copy that intonation. She spots him at a beach. She wants to run to him, but she hesitates. She wants to run to him, but she hesitates. Good. She hesitates because he's in the buff. She hesitates because he's in the buff. Very good. She's shocked and startled. She's shocked and startled. Good. She's shocked and startled, she's surprised, because he's with a beautiful, busty woman. Good. Because he's with a beautiful, busty woman. Good. She's startled because he's with a beautiful, busty woman who is also in the buff. Good. She's startled because he's with a beautiful, busty woman who is also in the buff. Sarah starts to cry. Then she runs away. She returns to San Francisco. Sarah and Bobby never cross paths again. Good. Sarah and Bobby never cross paths again. Okay, very good. Please pause and tell all of the story again. Tell the entire story. Try to use all the new phrases and vocabulary. All right, I will see you next time. When you finish, go to the point of view story. Bye-bye. Okay, let's get started. It's the point of view mini stories for the Nudist lesson. Are you ready? First, we're going to go back to the past, last week. Last week, Sarah longed for a fella named Bobby. She loved him deeply. But Bobby lived in Norway, and Sarah lived in San Francisco. Sarah thought about Bobby every day and felt unsettled. Finally, she decided she must see him to be happy. She flew to Norway to retrieve him and bring him back to San Francisco. She spotted him at a beach. She wanted to run to him, but she hesitated because he was in the buff. She was shocked and startled because he was with a beautiful, busty woman who was also in the buff. Sarah started to cry. Then she ran away. She returned to San Francisco just yesterday. Sarah and Bobby never crossed paths again. All right, very nice. Let's do another one now. We're going to start with since middle school. Since middle school for version number 2. Since middle school, Sarah has longed for a fella named Bobby. She has loved him deeply all that time since middle school until now. But Bobby has lived in Norway for 10 years, and Sarah has lived in San Francisco. Every day, Sarah has thought about Bobby and has felt unsettled. Well, finally one day, she decided she must see him to be happy. So she flew to Norway to retrieve him and bring him back to San Francisco. She spotted him at a beach one day. She wanted to run to him, but she hesitated because he was in the buff. She was shocked and startled because he was with a beautiful, busty woman who was also in the buff. Sarah started to cry. Then she ran away. She returned to San Francisco. Sarah and Bobby never crossed paths again. Okay, as always, you can see this happens a lot when we start with since middle school, since 1 year ago. Often we have to switch to the past tense again when we talk about a specific event, right? Specific events usually start, they happen, and then they stop. It's all finished in the past. When we talk about, one day or 1 week or one time, well, that tells you, time to use the past. But if we say since middle school, since 2006, until 5 years ago, well, then that tells us, oh, maybe we better start using have gone, or has gone, or had gone. Okay. Third version. Let's go to the future. Into the future. Into the future. Next year, here's my idea for a story. It's a story that will happen next year. There will be a woman named Sarah. Sarah will long for a fella named Bobby. She'll love him deeply. But Bobby will live in Norway, and Sarah will live in San Francisco. Every day, Sarah will think about Bobby, and she'll feel unsettled. Finally, she'll decide she must see him to be happy. She'll fly to Norway to retrieve him and bring him back to San Francisco. She'll spot him at a beach. She'll want to run to him, but she'll hesitate because he'll be in the buff. She'll be shocked and startled because he'll also be with a beautiful, busty woman who'll be in the buff. Sarah'll start to cry. Then she'll run away. She'll return to San Francisco. Sarah and Bobby will never cross paths again. All right, those are our 3 versions. Please listen to them many times. When you understand them, when you know them well, pause after each version and tell all of the story yourself. Tell it starting with last week, or last year, or 10 years ago. That's version 1. And then tell it again, starting with since middle school, or since high school, or since 2002. That's version number 2. And then tell it again in the future, next year, in the year 2010, or next month. Okay? Practice all 3 versions, and that's all. Okay, let's do the commentary for the Nudist lesson. Kind of a funny Dear Abby letter. Okay, here we go. So, imagine this situation. You are living in your neighborhood, probably a nice little suburban neighborhood, little nice houses. And one of your neighbors is always naked. He walks to his mailbox, he's naked. He walks to his car to get something, he's naked. He opens his windows or his doors. You can see him naked inside his house. Would this bother you? Now, I did this lesson in my class here in San Francisco. Most of my students are Asian. So I think Asian society, Asian cultures in general, are more conservative, more worried about nudity or nakedness compared to, let's say, Europe might be on the other side. In my experience, European people seem more relaxed about this kind of thing. And Americans probably in the middle. Europeans think we are too worried about nudity and nakedness. And Asian people probably think we're too liberal, too open about it. So anyway, it's always interesting with Dear Abby letters in my classes because I get to see the opinions of other students from other cultures. I'd say most of my students, I have a combination. I have a lot of Japanese students, a lot of Korean students, a lot of Thai students, and a lot of Mongolian students. And I just got a German student, but not so many Europeans, a few sometimes. And then a fair number of students from South America also. Right now I have one student from Paraguay. So they always have different ideas about these Dear Abby letters based on their personal values and also sometimes based on their culture. So anyway, what do you think? I would like you go to the forums and write, what should they do about this? Should they ignore him? It's no problem, right? So what? He's in the buff. It doesn't matter. The human body is natural. Why should we worry if the man is in the buff? So maybe they should not worry about this fella, right? Not worry about this guy just because he's in the buff. So what? They feel a little unsettled. They feel a little upset, but not much. So maybe it's not a big problem, especially in this city. It's not against the law. It's not illegal. Or maybe you have another idea. Maybe you think that, oh wow, this is terrible, right? So in my class, some people mention children. What if children in the neighborhood see this man naked? Maybe this man has some weird problem. Why does he want people to see him naked all the time? Why is he doing this? Why does he want that attention? Maybe he has some kind of strange problem. Is he wanting women to look at him, or what is it? So other people in my class, thought it was definitely a problem and that the neighbors should do something. So, I guess you might have other ideas. Maybe you think it's a problem, maybe you don't. But anyway, go to the forums and write your opinion. What do you think should be done in this situation? Now, if you want to talk about a more serious topic, this is kind of a funny article, obviously, not so serious. But there is another serious issue which is connected to this, I think. And that is the idea of consensual behavior. And sometimes we call it in English consensual crimes, if something is against the law, if it is illegal. And consensual means you agree, to agree. So consensual, it's an adjective. It means something that is agreed. So let's say, let me think of an example. Okay, for example, drug use is a very good example. Drug use, using, let's say, heroin, a very strong example. Heroin or cocaine. This is a crime, right? In most countries, it's a crime. The police will grab you if you have cocaine. They will take you to jail. They will punish you. Is that right? Because using cocaine, using drugs, is a consensual crime. What does that mean? It means you're not hurting another person, right? You are only deciding for yourself, right? You agree for yourself to use cocaine. Maybe you sell it to another person. Well, if it's an adult, then you both are consenting. That's the verb. To consent means to agree. Well, you both consent to buy and sell the drug, right? Nobody's forcing you. Nobody's hurting you. You're not hurting them. They are not hurting you. Nobody's being using violence or guns or in any way. Everybody agrees. I agree I have the cocaine. I want to sell it. And you agree you want to buy it. It's a consensual crime. It's a crime. The police will arrest you. But it's a consensual crime. It's different than a violent crime, right? If you hurt another person, if you hit them and take their money, that's not a consensual crime. The person did not agree. They did not ask you to hit them. They did not ask you to take their money. That's not consensual. But selling and using drugs for adults, we're not talking about children, we're talking about adults, that is consensual. It's totally consensual. So a lot of people in America, especially in the United States, they think, well, we should not punish consensual crimes. If somebody wants to use cocaine, if somebody chooses to become a drug addict, that's their problem, right? We should not put them in jail. That's their choice. It's a stupid choice, probably, but it's still their choice. They are adults. They are consenting to do this. They are choosing to do it. They are agreeing. So we should not waste time. We should not waste money with police, paying the police to catch them and then put them in jail. In jail, we spend a lot of money. We have to pay for their food. We have to pay for the building. We have to pay for the guards, right, to watch them. It's very, very expensive. So some people in the United States say, look, forget consensual crimes. We should not worry about consensual crimes. We should focus only on violent crimes or direct crimes. So if you steal someone's money, maybe it's not violent. Maybe you don't hurt them. You secretly take their money. But still, there was no consent. It's not consensual. They did not agree. They did not ask you, okay, please take my money. So there is this division, this difference in these kinds of crimes, consensual crimes and non-consensual crimes. Do you agree with this idea? Do you think that more focus, more attention, more money, more energy should be focused on direct crimes, non-consensual crimes, and less money, less time, less energy on consensual crimes? For example, drugs, for example, sexual crimes, like prostitution, things like that. Things that both people agree to do what they're doing. Anyway, it's a very interesting idea. Different countries have different ideas about this. A few countries in Europe also have this idea. I think Amsterdam is the most famous example. I think Portugal and even England to some degree, somewhat, have this idea, especially about what they call soft drugs like marijuana, alcohol, tobacco. They don't worry about these. These are consensual crimes. They don't worry too much about them. Same with prostitution. If a woman chooses to take money for sex, they don't worry about it. Both people are agreeing. They don't care so much. They focus more on violent crimes and direct crimes. But I know that, living in a country like Thailand, I live there in Asia, it's quite different. There and in Japan and other countries, the idea is more of, everybody must follow the same rules, and society will be damaged and destroyed if we let people choose these bad things. We cannot let people make bad choices. That's another idea. I guess that's the idea of... So I guess we have two ideas. One is the government should be a parent, and the citizens are like children. So we must not let them make bad choices. And then another model, another idea, is that the government is a collection of citizens, and individual citizens are adults and can make their own decisions. Anyway, so there you go. There's a lot of topics to write about in the forums and think about. We have the basic issue of the man in the buff, the neighbor. We have the idea of consensual crimes and non-consensual crimes, right? Things that people choose freely and things that are not chosen. And then we have this idea of government as parent or government as servant, serving the people. All right, you can write about any of those. Those are some small topics and big topics. Okay, well, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.